welcome to another segment of Handy Andy on Bethel Park TV Cable. Today it's a gorgeous day here in Bethel Park and we're going to be working outside. We're doing a pallet garden, so a little bit off our norm. We're not, big time gardeners like some of my friends, but I do love to dabble in it. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually turn just a little plot of land, 4x4, into a pallet garden. And pallet gardens are the newest craze. People are doing it everywhere. It's something that anyone can do. Pallets are free. Just drive around the business community. You're going to see businesses that dispose of pallets every day of the week. So we're going to take this pallet and we're going to turn it into a garden. So instead of having to till up the land and work the soil and bring healthier soil in and so forth, this is almost a way of doing a raised bed. We're going to take a couple pallets, put it together, and through the slats of the pallet is what we're going to be planting, whether you get some live plants, some tomato plants, and putting them in, or you could even just start with all the different seeds, and we'll put some seeds there. This is a little bit a week before Memorial Day, perfect time of year. Winter is over, frosts are done, so it's time to start planting the garden. So let's take a look at our land, let's take a look at the pallets, and let's get started. First thing you're doing is you're picking the spot in the yard. You want a spot that's going to have a lot of sun because of course the sun is what you need for the plants to grow. We picked a 4-foot square area and we're doing this in the middle of a yard, so we want to keep the grass from growing up into the garden itself. So this area itself, we cut the grass a little bit on the short side, and what we're going to do, this is a landscape fabric. This is a fabric that lets moisture through, but it doesn't let the weeds go through. So we're going to line the area of the yard with the fabric, and we're going to put the base pallet down first. And on the base pallet, we're going to use the side with the slats onto the ground with the open area coming into the center, and then we'll put the next pallet on top. But first thing we got to do is take care of the ground, and that's putting the fabric down. Holding the fabric to the ground, we're just going to put a couple staples. These are just simple fabric staples, and it's just going to be to hold the fabric secure. And we'll cut it and do another layer. And as you can see, these don't have to be very nice pallets, clean pallets, because we're going to be filling them full of dirt. The next pallet is a little bit nicer, but we're picking pallets that don't have any paint on it. We're picking pallets that don't have any creosote in it. We're picking pallets that are just plain hard wood. And as you could see, we have all the slats through the top, and the slats are the areas that we're actually going to be filling all the dirt to. So let's fasten the pallets together and then we'll get them full of dirt. All I'm doing to fasten these together is we just have a regular cordless drill, and we're taking just some drywall screws, and we're going to run them together in the pallet, and all this is going to do is keep it from sliding apart. Now that we have the pallet secure, these are all just bolted together, screwed together nice and simply, and that's just going to keep them from sliding apart, or kids or animals or pets or something. The next thing is we're going to block off the sides on all 4 sides of it, and all that's going to do is keep the dirt inside the pallet garden itself. Very simply, I just cut some cardboard strips, and we're just going to take them and staple them right onto the side of the pallets, and then we could trim off any excess so it's nice and flush. And instead of cutting and wasting the fabric, I might as well just pull the fabric up and put it underneath the cardboard instead of just cutting it off and wasting it. So I'll go ahead and staple up this side of the fabric. And then we're just going to take the cardboard and put the cardboard flush up on the side of it. Now from here I'm going to check the top of the garden, make sure there's nothing sharp, nothing exposed. I see a couple nails that are sticking out. Making sure all the wood top is nice and secure. So that's really all we had on this pallet was one bad nail. And the base of your garden is complete. Now we're going to go into mixing up the soil and getting the soil ready to put into the garden. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to mix our own soil. When I go to mixing soil, because it's less expensive than if we are buying garden soil. Garden soil is just a better grade topsoil with some vermiculite and peat moss added to it, but it's a lot more expensive. We're trying to do this project as inexpensive as possible, reuse, recycled kind of material. So what I bought just a regular bag of topsoil and a bag of peat moss, and I'm going to be mixing our own soil. The peat moss is going to keep it lighter, fluffier, and it's going to help hold the moisture into the garden bed itself. So just brought a bag of each, and let's mix it up and see what happens. This bag of topsoil, bag of peat moss, I'm just going to slit them open, and you want to mix a little bit of it at a time. You don't want to mix too much because then it's just a lot harder to work. So we're going to start with just maybe half of each one, and then we'll just keep adding from there. If you put too much in the wheelbarrow at once, then all you're doing is asking for grief on too much to mix. And there's no exact science to it. It's just whatever the soil looks good when you think you got the right amount of peat moss and right amount of soil. You don't want too much of either one. You need the soil for the nutrition in the body, and the peat moss just keeps it airy and lightweight for you. So here's our first batch mixed. And then from there, we're just going to start dumping it into the pallet and filling it from the ground up. From here, we're just filling all the cracks. So it'll take a little bit of time, but okay, from here we got a couple 100 pounds of dirt in here, and it's just a matter now of cleaning everything, filling all the cracks, getting all the excess, filling all the little nooks and crannies of it. And like any good gardener, you got to get your hands dirty. So if your hands aren't dirty, you're not doing it right. And after the plants start growing, you may have to add a little bit more soil because we did use the peat moss on it. So you want to make sure that the soil stays up near the top. As you can see, we finally have what looks like the start of a good garden. We have all the dirt in, we have all the rows done, our hands are nice and filthy like we like, but now it's time to start planting. So we're going to do a combination of some saplings, some seedlings, and then also we're going to be doing some seeds itself. So whatever you're comfortable with doing, you could just do nothing but seeds, and within a week you'll see them starting to sprout. But we're going to jump the gun a little bit on some of the tomatoes and so forth and put actual plants in. So let's get started with the planting. Next, you want to plan out what it is you're going to grow. Every garden I like to plant, I like to have flowers in it. What the flowers do is actually attract the beneficial insects. They're going to attract the bees, the pollinators. They're also going to attract the beneficial insects on it. So anytime I do a pallet garden or any garden, I like to do flowers. So this is just a wildflower mix, and we're going to pick the first row, and that's where we're going to, put all our wildflowers itself. And with any type of seeds, we're just going to gently put some in. And anytime your plants are going to be growing, this is something that is going to take to some thinning. So once you put it in and they start growing itself, then once you see the healthy ones always survive on it. So I just double check, make sure I got them all in. And there's your first row on it. The second row, we're actually have some lettuce that's been pre-planted, and then the rest of it, we're just going to put our seeds of lettuce down in there. Since these are so frail to begin with, I'm just going to put the pot in. I'm going to break up the pot a little bit. You want them loose in the soil so more moisture and more growth and root growth goes. The rest of it, we just put the seeds all the way down through, and then we poke the seeds down beneath the soil, and then the healthy survive. As soon as you start seeing the seeds start to germinate, as soon as they get, I'm going to say, a good 3-4 inches up, then you're going to want to thin them out, because you don't want anything too clustered, because then everything will grow thin and you won't get anything thick on it. So take the time after it starts to start thinning the herd, let's say, and keep the healthy ones. Now on the tomatoes, these tomatoes, we're going to gently try and pull some of the plants out of the soil, because they started these seedlings. Looks like we got some good root growth down in there. There we go. These are going to take some TLC to get them to replant, because we're shocking them somewhat by pulling them apart. So they'll look a little wilted for a day or two, but they should perk up with some sunshine and some nice watering. Okay, and then the rest here, we're going to be planting some peppers. Anytime you're putting seeds in, you want to make sure you have at least a good inch of soil over top of the seeds. Actually, I think we're going to let our labeling in the ends, so once they start growing, the person can remember what it is they planted. Next, looks like we got some basil. Basil could be a little bit more clustered because of how it grows. Then we're going to plant a little bit of spinach. Love spinach. And our spinach seeds. Next, some nice healthy carrots. And what's nice with the carrots, with these being 2 pallets deep, you got a lot of area for the carrot to grow, the stalk of the carrot to grow down below the pallets, and it's going to be nice and safe from all the undesirable critters and undesirable insects. Then some nice beans. These are something that are going to grow very tall, like our friend Jack in the beanstalk. So kids are going to have a lot of fun with the beans, but the beans are something that will need to be thinned, and at a time you will have to put some form of a trellis up because the beans are going to grow on a stalk itself. So we're going to fence in this garden because we got lots of deer, and you could just help the beans as they're growing, have them grow towards the wire, the chicken wire, and it'll help the beans to grow. All right, now we're going to put up a fence. Here in Bethel Park, we got lots of deer everywhere. So we don't want to do all this gardening work and then just to feed the deer with it. So we're going to just put a small fence, maybe about 6 feet of fence all the way around this garden. We'll have it open, so we can open it up as, temporary type of gate, let's say, and we'll see how the deer react to it. And once the plants are grown, if we have to go higher, we could put some of the deer netting up and over the top of this, because this is a small enough garden that we're not doing, acreage of it, so it'd be very simple to do. I just got some regular 4-foot tomato stakes, so to speak, and I'm going to come out on both sides of it, a foot out, going all the way around. Going to cheat a little bit. This is a post driver. Instead of using a sledgehammer, it just makes it go in pretty quickly. So let's put our 4 corner stakes in, and we can tie up our chicken wire to it. Okay, now we're just going to use some, I call them zip ties, and we're going to use some chicken wire, and we'll start at the one corner, wrapping it around, tying it off, then we'll pull the fence totally around and have some nice protection for the garden. And before we leave, we'll make sure that all the sharp points and everything are off of the fence, so nobody's getting jabbed. Okay, very simple gate. This isn't anything too elaborate, and just a couple loop hooks on it. When you go to open it, you're just sitting there and it'll slide open. When you're done, you're just bringing it back, sliding a couple loops. I got 2 on there, just, for extra security on them. Is it perfect? No. For a first-year gardener, this is a very, very simple, easy, inexpensive way to do it. Now we're going to water the plants, and then I also brought some animal repellent, a new type of product that you're only going to have to put up about every 3 months instead of spraying it. So stay tuned, and we'll show you what the repellent is, and time to water the garden.
I brought out a show on the radio about 5 or 6 years ago to try to share a lot of the information that I run across on a weekly basis with clients, and to share those experiences and the knowledge gained from other people's either mistakes or the correct decisions they've made and their successes, and to try to share that with the community so more people could benefit. So we came over and met Dave, and it was real easy. He said, there you go, are you ready? We're very lucky to have this and the resources over here, where it would be quite expensive to try to produce a show like this elsewhere. Bethel Park TV is offering it to all of us. I hope this grows a lot, and I hope a lot more people do take advantage of this. You're missing out on a marvelous opportunity if you don't. It's really a free gift for you to be able to share yourself and your experiences and what your value is with others at low to no risk. Anyone who's considering doing a show, come on out of your shell. Come on over here. Dave's very gentle, very nice. He'll help guide you through this. If you make mistakes, he'll edit it out and record it over, so don't worry about saying something wrong. Just come over and share what you have with others. Just be yourself, come over here and let other people see who you are, why you're here, and who you're trying to help and what you're trying to say. It is that easy.
Hello, my name is John Bauer. I'm a paramedic supervisor with Tri-Community South EMS. I would like to tell you about hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse, call or have someone call 911. Bare the victim's chest. Place one hand on the center of the chest and interlock both hands. Compress the chest fast and hard. Press 100 times a minute to the beat of the song Staying Alive. This will give you the correct rate for your compressions. Do this until EMS arrives. Stop CPR if you were too exhausted to continue. These two simple steps can double the person's chance for survival. Doing these steps can mean the difference between life and death. For more information on CPR training or our Speakers Bureau, go to tcsems.org or call 412-831-3710.
Visit the Oliver Miller Homestead, an 18th century reenactment site located just off the circle on Corrigan Drive in South Park. Self-guided tours are available each Sunday from May 1st until December 8th from 1:30 until 4:30 p.m. with guides in 18th century garb located around the grounds to answer questions and to give information. Your tour will begin in a reproduction bank barn where displays give information on the movement west. You will also see the Miller Still and learn about the production of whiskey and the importance of it and of the Whiskey Rebellion to this area. Follow the Miller Trail up the path and visit the transportation shed, demonstration shed, forge, a reproduction log house, the original spring house, gardens, and finally end at the stone house. Each month, the guides host at least one special event. The homestead is also a great place for tours, tailored to the needs of school-aged children, scout groups, or adults. Visit our website at www.olivermillerhomestead.org for a schedule for the year and much more information on the history of the Miller family, our organization, and pricing information.
Okay, and you might notice that on our ties, our zip ties that we brought, I use black ones outside, not just for the color, but they're ultraviolet. A lot of people are used to the clear ones or the white ones. Over the course of even one summer with the hot heat, they're not ultraviolet protected, where these black ones will repel the ultraviolet rays and they're not going to disintegrate on you. So when you're using any kind of a zip tie, electrical ties outside, do yourself a favor and use some black ones. Now it's time we're going to water, but also along with watering, before I do that, I'm going to, when we planted, a lot of the, when I was pushing all the seeds down, a lot of the soil dropped down a little bit. So I'm just going to top off a couple of the rows and just to bring them back up to the top surface. And then from there, we'll water it, which will recess it down in a little bit again. But especially when you're doing the seeds, and you saw how much seeds I was using and pushing them in. You could either use your soil mixture, or you could even just use regular peat moss, because the peat moss is going to work its way down into the soil itself. But this way I know we got a full amount of soil in all the rows, and then we can get them watered, and they're all going to be happy. And we love happy plants. And even the plants that we used live plants on, don't hesitate to get them dirty. I mean, we're going to water them, they're going to grow taller, and everything's going to be fine with them. Most plants die from too much love, so don't pamper them. Okay, let's just get some water. And I'm actually using the force of the water in between the pallets. That way I'm not smashing anything. And the water will just bounce off of the wood part of the pallet, and it'll get down into the soil. Now I'm giving it a good soaking today. From here, even just getting a garden hose and overspraying everything, your plants will love it. And there you go. Everything will dry out. And brand new like this, it's not going to hurt to water it a second time today and let this water soak in. And then tonight when the sun sets, give the garden a nice spray. Not a hard soaking, but a nice spray, nice soft spray. And then until you see it in the hot sunny days, you want to maybe do it before the sun comes up and after the sun sets, or at least once a day doing a nice thorough watering on it. Once the plants start growing, you could just stick your finger in the soil. You could see how dry it is. If it's dry or plants are wilting, of course, you need to water. If the soil is moist, don't pamper them, don't water them too much, then you're going to ask for root rot on it. But sit back and watch them grow, and by the end of the summer here, come Labor Day, you're going to be enjoying a great harvest. The last thing we're going to do with this garden is we're going to take a little extra effort to try and keep our furry little friends away. This is a new product from Bonide. It's called Sentinel. This is a new way of doing, instead of your deer and rabbit repellents that you have to spray every 2 or 3 weeks or once a month and changing, this is a liquid, and it gives you little bottles, and in these little bottles there's a little wick. We're going to fill these bottles with this little Sentinel, and we're just going to tie it from the corner about halfway up all the way around the garden. We're going to put 4 of these on the garden itself, and then what this will do, this will work for 3 months. These bottles have the fluid in it, and it just slowly seeps up through the wick itself, and it puts out the scent to keep the animals away. So it's Bonide, it's Sentinel, it's a new way of doing it. I'm anxious to give it a good try. I've heard some very, very good reports on how the product works. Thank you for watching another segment of Handy Andy on Bethel Park TV Cable. We had a lot of fun building this garden. I love being outside in the sunshine. I hope you enjoyed the segment. I hope you will try this garden. It's very simple, very inexpensive, and you're going to have a lot of great vegetables to eat. Or if you're just doing flowers, it doesn't matter. But simple, easy, all recycled type of products. We're even taking care of the deer and the animal for it. So stop by and show me a picture of how well your pallet garden did. So thank you for watching, and see you next month.